There are many different ways to expand our consciousness. I like to talk about it in a slightly different way, though, because consciousness is already expanded. We can't expand consciousness. What we can expand is we can expand our relationship with consciousness. The different practices that people talk about, like yoga or meditation or self-inquiry, or even using chemicals, taking LSD, taking a mescaline or a psilocybin, some kind of plant spirit medicine, as the shamans call it. All of those practices are just there to shift our attention, to change maybe what we are able to access about ourselves, are able to see about ourselves. They just open up a different view. The consciousness itself is, if you ever experience it, it's already tremendously expanded. What gets contracted is our experience of ourselves. What gets contracted is the experience of ourselves. What gets contracted is our experience of our body. So then we do the yoga practice to expand our experience in our body. What gets contracted are our concepts about the universe, the way that we see reality. So that's where a practice like, for some people, taking mushrooms or something like that could expand their consciousness beyond those limited concepts. Oftentimes, we get trapped in a very limited experience of ourselves, that we feel like we are just our body, we're just the role that we play in society. And so for that kind of contraction, the practice of meditation is incredibly beneficial. In meditation, at least in the way that I approach it, in meditation what we're doing is we're turning our attention away from the outside world, and we're becoming sensitive to what's happening inside of us. Of course, that means emotions and thoughts and that dimension of the inside. But if we spend some time and we're sensitive and we're a little persistent, within those thoughts, within those feelings, within our very human impulses, we can connect to the universal impulses. We can connect to really the power of the universe, the power of the sacred that's right within us. And when we do this enough, and we do it with a certain kind of sincerity and intensity, then who we understand ourselves to be, then who we understand ourselves to be starts to shift. We start to identify not just with that individual walking down the street, sitting in an interview. We start to identify with that ocean of power that we are. So we become this tremendous power moving down the street. We become this tremendous power sitting in an interview, interacting with someone, loving someone, or whatever the case may be. Then that becomes the next means or the next practice for expanding your consciousness. Is once you learn how to do it in a controlled environment, once you learn how to do it in your meditation practice, in your mystical practice, whatever that may be, taking that expanded awareness and walking down the street with it, taking that expanded awareness to your relationships, to your work, to your interaction with the outside world, that becomes a practice in and of itself. That's radically transformative, radically transformative. The world itself starts to reveal its hidden dimensions. our individual experience, the role that we play in society, it's just the tip of an iceberg of what we really are. We experience that in meditation. But then what we find is that the people and places and things and activities of the world, all of those are just other tips of the iceberg. Beneath the surface of any moment, of any person, of any situation, there's tremendous power. There's tremendous ecstasy. Satchidananda, they talk about in the Indian tradition, which means being, consciousness, and bliss. Everything, anything, if you're able to really be with it, focus on it, and provided that you've opened up that experience with yourself first, if you're able to penetrate into any moment, there's an ocean of consciousness there. There's an ocean of power there. When you have that kind of awareness, then this world becomes a completely different place. The game of life, the play of life, becomes a completely different game, a completely different becomes a completely different gift. You realize that life, that any moment, that any relationship, any moment with another human being has so much potential, has so much grace to it.